Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the studies. Yesterday, we were studying about the election system which is adopted in India, and for that purpose, we have adopted the first past the post system. In our election of Lok Sabha and election of Legislative Assembly, we use that system only, under which the candidate who gets the maximum number of votes gets elected. And other than this first past the post system, there is another kind of system of election is also there, and that is called proportional representation. There are many countries which has adopted this proportional representation. In our country, we have also adopted this type of system of election, but that is very limited only for the members of the Rajya Sabha and for the election of the president. That is adopted. But for all the MPs and MLAs are elected on the basis of first past the post system. Now we will understand what is the meaning of proportional representation. When we were discussing the when we were discussing the first past the post system, we found out that the most important problem or the mm, mm, most important weakness of the first past the post system is that many times happens that a party which is not able to get substantial percentage of vote, still it is able to win substantial seats in the Lok Sabha or Legislative Assembly. So, in order to overcome that weakness, this new type of representation is there, under which all the political parties get representation in the Lok Sabha in the legislature according to their share of votes. Whatever percentage of vote is being given to the party, that party will be given seat according to that vote only. So this is the proportional representation, and how it works. First of all, you should know the name of the country. In Israel, this proportional representation system is adopted, and what happens in this type of representation, what is done that first of all, when the election is declared, then what happens that every party uh, prepares a list of nominees or candidates, and the whole country is considered as a one constituency. There is only one constituency, and the whole country comes under that constituency. If we compare it with the first past the post system, which is adopted in our country, what we find that for the election of the Lok Sabha, the whole country is divided into 543 constituencies. But in case of proportional representation, the whole country is was a single constituency. There is only one constituency in the country, and the whole country comes under that constituency. And now, what happens that different political parties present a list of candidates, and in this list of candidates, names of the candidates is written according to the preference. So this is the preference list. Okay. Now what happens that people go for vote, and when people are giving vote, they are not giving their vote to any candidate, but they are giving their vote to political party. So it is the party to which the people are giving their vote, not the candidate. So after voting is done, what happens? Counting starts, and in this counting, what happens that in this counting what happens that each party is allotted the share of seats in the parliament in proportion to its share of votes. How, whatever share of vote a party is getting in the counting of the votes, it becomes clear that what percent of the voting a particular party has got, and according to that percentage, the seat, how many seats will be allotted to that party, it is decided. Okay, so each party is allotted the share of seats in proportion to its share of votes. जितने वोट हैं उतने seats होंगे. Okay, so this is the funda, and in this what happens that all the political parties get representation according to its share of votes. If it has got a larger share of votes, then it will get a larger number of seats in the parliament. If it gets a smaller share of vote, then it will get smaller number of seats in the Lok Sabha. So this is called proportional representation. A party gets the same proportion of seats as its proportion of votes. So, in the previous type of system of election, what we find that so many votes have been wasted, but in this system, all the votes are in use. They are getting used. So this is the difference between the two systems. And if we see from the view of representation, what we find that this is a more representative system, because in this uh, votes of everyone is counted, votes of everyone is used, so this is more representative. Now this proportional representation system, it is also there is two types of this representation is done. There are two variation. The one variation about which I told you just now, that the whole country is treated as one constituency, and this type of representation, this type of uh, proportional representation is exists there in Israel and Netherlands. These are the two countries where at the time of election the whole country becomes one constituency. Okay, then there is other method also, and in that method what happens that the country is divided into several constituency, but these constituencies are not a single member constituency. What happens in our country, from all the constituencies, number of constituencies equal to number of seats in the Lok Sabha. So from all the constituency only one person will get elected. This is the system under first past the post system. But in this system what happens that the constituencies are bigger and they are multi-member. It's not that from one constituency only one member will be elected, but from one constituency more than one members are elected. It is multi-member constituency, and this type of system is in practice in Argentina and Portugal. Okay, so in this system also what happens that all the political party prepare a list of candidates, and that is also a preference list. The number of and the names of the candidates are written according to their preference. So preference list is prepared by the political parties, and then the same thing happened that the voters give their vote for a party, not to a candidate, and the seats in the constituency are distributed on the basis of votes polled by a party. The share of the votes, according to the share of the votes, the seats are also allotted to the political party. So the only difference between the two methods is the difference of the size of the constituency. Now we will see uh, how proportional representation is in practice in Israel. Israel follows proportional representation system of election. Election to the legislature take place every 4 years. Okay, every party declares a list of its candidates, but voters vote for the party and not for the candidates. A party gets seat in the legislature in proportion to the votes polled by it. This allows even a smaller party with very small support base to get representation in the legislature. It's not that if a party is very small and it has got very small part of the voting, very small percentage of the voting, then it will not be able to get any seat in the legislature. What happens in the first past the post system? This is the practice in the first past the post system, that smaller parties do not get any kind of representation in the legislature because they are not able to win any of the from any of the constituencies. But here what we find, that winning is not important. What is important, the percentage of the votes, the share of the votes, that is important. If a smaller party is also able to get some votes, then it will be able to be represented. And there is a rule. A rule is that a party must get a minimum of 3.25% votes to be eligible to get seats in the legislature. A party must at least 3.25% of the total votes, whatever total voting turnout is there, 3.25% of that voting should must be must a party get, then only it will get representation in the legislature. So if it is able to get more than 3.25%, then it will be representation. And this is the reason that in Israel what we find, that most of the times it is highly possible that a single party is not able to form the government. There is multi-party coalition government is a normal trend there because of this proportional representation. Because of this representation, no party is able to get the majority of the seats, and that is why the coalition government is very much in practice. So this is the table. Here you can see the table. This is the table which shows uh, the result of the 2015 election. And in this you can find that this is the first column is the name of the party, the second column is percentage of total votes, the third column is number of seats and percentage of total seats, which is not given. It is expected from you to find out the percentage of total seat, which can be very easily you can find out 30 seats in 120. So what will be the percentage? Here you can see percentage of total votes. Total votes percentage में है, यानी कि it is 100. Okay. Now percentage of total votes the first party is getting is 23.4%, and number of seats it is getting is 30. So if you find out 30 is what percent of 120? This 30 into 100 divided by 120. So what will be the answer? this 0 will cancel this 0, and then uh, 3 10s are 30 and 3 4s are 12, and then 2 2 5s are, and then again we can cut it with 2, isn't it? Now 5 5s are 25. So 30 seats in 120 is equal to 25%. So what we find that percentage of total votes is 23.5%, and percentage of total seats is 25%. So there is a complete harmony between the percentage of total votes and percentage of total seat. This is true representation. Whatever voting is done, all the political parties are getting representation on the basis of that voting, and this is very much justiciable, very much representative. So, in the same way, if we find out, this is your homework, you find out the percentage of all the uh, party, how many percentage of total seats a particular party is getting. You will find that it will be equal to this number. So, in this way, the election in Israel takes place. Okay. In India also, I told you earlier that we have also adopted this proportional representation, and this has been adopted for the election of president, vice president, and the members of Rajya Sabha and Vidhan Sabha. These are the four types of people who are elected through this proportional representation: president, vice president, Rajya Sabha, and Vidhan Parishad. So we can see it here how the Rajya Sabha uh, member is elected by this proportional representation system. In our country, there is a proportional representation is adopted which with one more variant, that is a single transferable vote system. Uh, It means the voting which is done by the people is transferable. It is getting transferred. How it is done? Let us see. Uh, every state has a specific quota of seats in the Rajya Sabha. Okay. For from every state, how many members are to be elected to the Rajya Sabha, that is fixed. That is a specific quota for that. That from each state, how many members will be elected to the Rajya Sabha. Okay. The members are elected by the respective state legislative assembly. And who are the elector? Who elects the members of the Rajya Sabha? The members of the Rajya Sabha are elected by the state legislative assembly. Which state legislative assembly? That state legislative assembly to which they belong. Okay, suppose the members of the UP, the members of the UP are to be elected for Rajya Sabha. Okay. Now, these members who are to be elected for the Rajya Sabha from UP, these members will be elected by the with state legislative assembly of UP. Okay, respective state legislative assemblies member will elect their Rajya Sabha members. Okay, so the voters are the MLAs in that state. Okay, who are the voters? Voters are the members of legislative assembly. It means MLAs. Every voter is required to rank candidates according to her or his preference. So first of all, you will be given a list of candidates, and in this list of candidates, you are not supposed to give your vote to only one person, a single person. But what is actually required, you have to give preference. Okay, you have to give rank according to your preference, according to your choice, according to your preference. You have to give rank to the candidate. Suppose there are five candidates, A, B, C, D and E. Then you are giving five candidates are there, A, B, and in this A, B, C, D and E. These are the five candidates. Now, if suppose you like the candidate E most, in that case, what you will do, you will write, you will have to give a rank according to your preference. So you will write 1 in front of E. Then you give more importance to after E. You give second preference to C, third preference to A, then D, then B. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It should be written in front of the name of the candidates. Okay. Now what happens if anyone is to be declared the winner? Then what a candidate is supposed to secure? He is supposed to secure a minimum quota of votes. And what is this quota of votes? This quota of votes is decided by a formula. So you have to remember that if anybody is declared winner, it means that the candidate have secured a minimum quota of votes. Now we will see which formula is adopted for this minimum quota of votes. Okay. Now total votes polled. Whatever the number of votes, total number of votes which has been given, which has been polled, okay, divided by total number of candidates to be elected plus 1, and this whole will be under the bracket plus 1. If someone gets this much of vote, then only he will be said to be elected. So in this example, 4 Rajya Sabha members have to be elected by the 200 MLAs in Rajasthan. Okay, so we are talking about Rajasthan, and in this Rajasthan, what happens that there are 200 MLAs. Number of MLAs is 200, and number of Rajya Sabha members which are to be elected through this election is 4. So election for 4 Rajya Sabha members is taking place. Now, what will be the minimum quota of votes which must be which must a person, a candidate get in order to be the winner? For this, total votes polled. What is the total number of MLAs? That is 200. Okay. So 200 divided by what is the total number of candidates which are to be elected to the Rajya Sabha? It is 4. So 200 divided by 4 plus 1. Under the bracket, complete will be under bracket plus 1. So this is 41 votes. 200 divided by 4 plus 1. 4 plus 1, 5. 5 4s are 20. 40 and plus 1. 41 votes. So, if a member, candidate will be elected only when he is able to get 41 votes. Okay. Now all the members have given their vote according to their preference. Okay, and they have wrote the rank in front of the names of the candidates. Now counting is going on. Okay, how it is done? First of all, what is done that the vote given by the MLAs, the first preference votes secured by each candidate is counted. First of all, what is counted? The counting is done only of the first preference votes. Okay. Suppose I told you na that someone has given E1. So suppose 200 people are there. In 200, for 30 have given first preference to E. So first of all, what is done? How many first preference votes each of the candidate has gotten, it will be written, it will be considered first preference vote. If in first preference vote any person, any candidate is able to get the minimum quota of votes, yani ki 41 votes, then he will be declared elected. Okay. If in the first preference votes were counted, but what happened that in the first preference votes, counting of first preference vote, no member was able to get that minimum quota of votes. Then what will happen that the candidates who secured the lowest vote of first preference is eliminated. In these five candidates, the candidates who have secured the lowest votes of first preference. Suppose C has got the lowest um, mm, votes of first preference, then it will be eliminated, and now there will be one less candidate. And what will happen that his her votes are transferred to those who are mentioned as a second preference on those ballot papers. Now the votes which he got in the people who have given him first preference in that voting, those who are mentioned as second preference on those ballots will be distributed among the others, and this process will continue till the required number of candidates are declared elected. This process will continuously goes on, and at last there is a time when any candidate will secure the minimum quota of votes, and in this way he will be get elected. So this is the system of proportional representation with a single transferable vote, which is adopted in India for the election of president, vice president, Rajya Sabha, and Vidhan Parishad. Now we will see the comparison. We will compare the first past the post system and the proportional representation system of election. What we find that in first past the post system, the country is divided into small geographical units, which are called constituencies. For each seat, one constituency is formed. Okay, but in the proportional representation, what we find that large geographical areas are demarcated as constituencies, and many times the whole country becomes a single constituency. So this is the most important difference. Then another difference is that every constituency elect one representative. In case of FPTP, all the constituency elect only one representative. From each constituency, one representative is elected. But in PR, what we find that one representative may be elected from one constituency, more than one representative. In FPTP, only one representative is elected. In PR, more than one representative, because these are the constituencies are multi-member constituencies. Then, under FPTP, voters vote for a candidate, but in PR, voters vote for the party. A party under FPTP, a party may get more seats than votes in the legislature. Whatever is the percentage share of votes, a party can manage to get more seats than the than its share of votes. But in PR, it is not possible. In PR, what we find that all the political parties get the seat in the Lok Sabha, in the legislature, according to their percentage of share of votes. Then candidates who wins the election may not get majority vote. It's not many times it happens that the candidate who wins the election from a particular constituency is not able to get the majority votes. Majority means one more than half. If 100 voters are there, then a candidate must get at least 51 votes. Then we can say that the candidate has got majority vote. But in FPTP, it happens that the candidate is not able to get the majority vote. But in PR, it is such designed in such a manner that whoever wins the election must get the majority of votes. So these are the main differences between FPTP and PR. And under FP, the most beautiful example of FPTP is India, United Kingdom, and the example of PR, as I told you earlier, Israel, Netherlands, Argentina, Portugal. These are the examples of proportional representation. So for today, this is all, and now tomorrow we will learn more about these topics.